bell tolls, and we arise from our grave to begin a new journey. The Souls series has sent us on many journeys over the past 4 years, but none so brutally unforgiving as Dark Souls 3. But fear not, as Souls veterans will confirm, these games don't just take. They give so much back in exchange for your time and patience. Yes, the games are notoriously difficult. Yes, you will want to give up, possibly as soon as the tutorial. And yes, it'll be one of the most satisfying experiences you'll have with a video game. The Dark Souls story, or rather lore, is famous for not being spoon-fed to the player. You get out of it as much as you put in. The way most people get exposition from the Souls games is by reading the descriptions of items, weapons and armour. They will give you info on characters, their pasts and their deeds, info on locations and its history, and from there you piece things together. The main story across the series often has you trying to keep the Age of Fire alive and keeping the dark at bay, which usually has the players sacrificing themselves to keep the flame lit. And from what I've played so far of Dark Souls 3, it's kind of the same deal, only this time it's not you who must be sacrificed. In Dark Souls 3 you are unkindled ash, awoken to hunt down the Lords of Cinder who have been reborn and left their thrones. It's your job to bring them back, most likely dead. Some people have speculated at what point does Dark Souls 3 take place. Either at the end of an Age of Fire and darkness will be arriving soon, or in the middle of a Dark Age. I've yet to finish Dark Souls 3 as I write this, so maybe I'll find out soon. I played Dark Souls 3 on my Xbox One, so native 900p upscaled to 1080p and only 30 frames per second, most of the time. At some points the frames dropped so much it was like playing in slow motion. The worst point of which was during the Dancer boss fight, where I felt like the game was about to come to a complete stop. But even with the 30-ish frames per second and the occasional texture pop, Dark Souls 3 is one of the most spectacular looking games I've played. And not just in the series, but it's one of the best looking games on console. The architecture is mind-blowing. It's a pleasure to behold, and walking through these carefully crafted locales occasionally left me speechless and wanting to explore every inch. The landscapes are a visual delight. Just like in Dark Souls 1, being able to see places you visited or will visit from across the world just goes to show how much planning and effort went into this. And the areas you cautiously traverse are full of enemies that will both disgust and amaze you. This series is known for its creature and monster design. It's something From Software maestros at, and in Dark Souls 3 I came face to face with a creature that at first glance caused my body to freeze with fear, followed by a flurry of panicked and incomprehensible bad language. If you are familiar with the Souls games or Bloodborne, then you will be right at home with Dark Souls 3. It's kept some of the speed from Bloodborne and the aggression of its enemies, but with the classic Dark Souls need to be more conservative and plan your battles more tactically. What's new to the series are the weapon arts. Every weapon in the game now has its own special ability or weapon art, which can be activated by holding the left trigger or L2. Now, depending on your weapon of choice, your ability will be different. For example, larger weapons like greatswords, hammers and axes will usually have Warcry, which temporarily gives you extra attack power, or there's Stomp that can be followed with a burst of unique attacks that can devastate your opponent. But to effectively use these abilities, you must have focus points, or FP for short. Between your health and your stamina bars is a new blue bar. Consider it to be like mana. Whenever you use a weapon art, it goes down a little. Also, now magic, pyromancy and miracles don't have a set amount of uses. They too will take so much away from the blue bar. Don't worry though, because the blue bar can also be refilled using a new type of Estus flask called an Ashen Estus flask, which, like the regular Estus flask that refills your health, gets replenished at bonfires or after you die. Your main hub is the Firelink Shrine. If you play Dark Souls 1, then this name will be familiar, but more like Dark Souls 2, it's now disconnected from the rest of the world. To return here, you walk from any bonfire you have previously been to. At the Firelink Shrine is where most NPCs you've met go and become merchants. It's where you'll purchase items, sorceries, pyromancies, and where you'll level up your character. Besides a few new features, this is still the Dark Souls we love, only better, shinier, and more rage-inducing than ever. The weapon arts are a great addition, and they can be what turns the battle in your favour, but they can also be what distracts you and loses you a much needed victory. So far I've relied on good old-fashioned combat, being patient, studying the enemy's attack patterns, and choosing my moments to strike only strengthened my sense of accomplishment when I take down a foe who has been giving me trouble. As a huge fan of Dark Souls, Demon Souls and Bloodborne, I'm a tad biased towards these games. I love most things about them: the difficulty, the combat, the multiplayer system, and especially the incredibly hard but so rewarding boss fights. Dark Souls 3 has all of these, and executes them spectacularly. Starting this new journey I was a little timid, and the first 15 minutes I spent getting owned by a giant crystal lizard, but since then I've battled a gigantic skeleton lord, I've met friends old and new, and I've experienced utter joy and total despair. If this is to be the last Dark Souls before From Software move on to bigger and better things, like maybe Bloodborne 2, it was a fantastic send-off. And that's why I give Dark Souls 3 a 9.5 out of 10.